6th of February 2025. Coming up on today's Global Intelligence Agency Operations Report. It seems we have caused quite a stir as the deep state tests what they thought was tungsten and finds out the truth. The Trump operatives are now putting out ads on Truth Social for the new Middle Eastern Riviera. And the hunt is on by members of the secret space program to find and control anything they can Marduk may have left behind. Well, it's the 26th of February. We are just a couple of days away from the end of the month and one day away from the new moon. You know what that always means. And 2 days away from the parade of planets. So that's got the deep state all excited about a few things they think might happen, but are not. But speaking of craziness going on with, operatives and in this case, Trump operatives, there seems to be a lot of infighting, not just between Democrats and Republicans, or Democratic operatives or Republican operatives going on in the government these days. It seems to be that there is some talk, so to speak, as, let's just say who's running what, who's answering to who, and people that are not quite in the know, that don't really understand what is going on politically in the U.S. right now and around the world, of course, are starting to question the leadership of the United States. I know I'm questioning the leadership of the United States, and matter of fact, over what I've seen over the last couple of days, I'm ready to get a passport somewhere else and go somewhere else, and maybe it'll be someplace nice and, I can find a beach and put my toes in the sand. Otherwise, let's talk just for a quick second about Elon Musk. So for those of you that don't know, Elon Musk has been told he is in the running for the Black Eagle position or Black Dragon. It's known as either or, and he has been in the running for this position for quite a while. In fact, there are some people that are already considering him the head of the Order of the Black Sun. This has been going on for, probably over a year now. And others are saying he hasn't quite earned his position yet. So he teamed up with Trump people, Trump operatives, and is giving it a go. They are allegedly giving him access to the Treasury Department, now soon to be Fort Knox. And we'll talk about Fort Knox a little bit later and what's been happening in the last 48 hours with that. So that being said, there was a little bit of a hack going on, and I think it happened about a day or so ago. And this hack has kind of gone viral. It's kind of funny, actually. It is an AI-generated video, and allegedly it played in several government buildings simultaneously, to include, but not limited to, the State Department. Some people thought it was pretty funny. Other people had some other things to say about it. But for the most part, everybody thought it was pretty funny. But the funnier part is there no investigation as to where this video came from? Here, check it out.
Artificial intelligence strikes again, this time with a fake video of President Donald Trump with his mouth all over Elon Musk's toes. This post shared by independent journalist Marissa Kabas shows the bizarre clip reportedly displayed on internal television monitors at the headquarters of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. The video was seemingly created with the help of AI, with eagle-eyed social media users noticing Musk's likeness had two left feet in the clip. It appears to poke fun at the perceived power dynamic between the president and the billionaire tech CEO. It also referenced a previous Truth Social post from the president in which he claimed congestion pricing in New York City was, quote, dead, and wrote, "Long live the king." Written over the fake video of Trump kissing Elon's feet were the words, "Long live the real king." The prank comes amid government layoffs, including at HUD. According to NBC reporting, one HUD employee who spoke on condition of anonymity said staff have viewed this as a sign of resistance that has brought a lot of joy, while another said everyone's talking and laughing about it. The prank has led to some back and forth on both sides, while an ex-account associated with Democrats on the House Financial Service Committee reacted to the video, writing, "Not all heroes wear capes." HUD Secretary Scott Turner's representatives disagreed, writing, "There is nothing heroic about abusing taxpayer resources." HUD spokesperson Casey Lovett told NBC News, quote, "Appropriate action will be taken for all involved." As of February 25th, neither the White House nor Musk had commented on the video.
Well, you can't unsee that, can you? And the only thing I don't disagree with this video is the two left feet part, because Elon seems to be listening to a whole bunch of people that are spinning him around in circles and not really getting anywhere. But so two left feet in this dance of his new doji department and potentially I guess you would say the black dragon or black eagle definitely fits him. Okay, in other news about, we're going to do regular news here first. And in other news, the Trump Organization is now selling $5 million worth of apparently high stakes immigration special gold cards. So instead of getting a green card, you'll apparently get a gold card for the tune of somewhere around $850,000, as I understand it. And they only are targeting high net worth immigrants into the United States. Wonder why that is. Now, for those of you that don't know, pretty much if you'd like to immigrate to the United States and you'd like to get a green card like everybody else, and you are willing to invest about $500,000 into the U.S. economy in the form of a new company and create jobs, for quite a long time, you've been able to get yourself a green card fairly quickly for your intend to invest in the U.S. economy. This has been going on for quite a long time. So the stakes here aren't much higher to get yourself a special Trump gold card. And of course, it's gold. Just like everything else with the Trump operatives and Duck Dynasty, it's loud, obnoxious, and very nouveau riche. Speaking of nouveau riche, have you seen the latest ad regarding the new Gaza Riviera? So talk about that real quick. This is actually a video that was sent to me. It is actually posted on the official Trump account on Truth Social, which means that the Trump people, operatives, have approved this message and posted it on their social media, thinking it was funny. Apparently, this is probably also, and I say allegedly, and probably also an AI-generated video. However, posting it on the President of the United States social media is completely and totally tasteless. Check it out.
Tunnels coming to set you free, bringing the light for all to see. No more tunnels, no more fear. Trump Gaza is finally here. Trump Gaza shining bright, golden future, a brand new life. Feast and dance, the deal is done. Trump Gaza #1. Trump Gaza shining bright, golden future, a brand new life. Feast and dance, the deal is done. Trump Gaza #1.
Yeah, I don't think I would be posting something like that on my social media ever. First of all, it kind of makes fun of what's going on. It makes fun of the people of Gaza and all they've been through. And it kind of shows his allegiance to Israel. You know, you're not supposed to have personal opinions on who your quote unquote partners are when you are in the seat of the president. So very completely and totally tasteless. As always, coming from Duck Dynasty, we would expect nothing less. Okay, let's talk about a few things that have been coming up on our community chats, I guess in brief. And some of them ask why I always talk about Trump, but I never really talk about Biden. Well, I have, actually. I have talked about the math is hard questions that he was asked. And I joke about math is hard because, his numbers are never right. Apparently, we have less Americans and then more Americans than we had before, the day before. There was a lot of math questions he couldn't answer regarding health care and how many U.S. citizens are in this country, and stumbles over words. I even played videos, actually, of his dementia kicking in. I think it was at the State of the Union one year. So let's compare presidents for a minute, and I'll just go through the last few and kind of give you some inside information of things we know here at the Global Intelligence Agency as to who is who in the zoo. Okay, comparing Biden to Trump. Who is a pedophile? Well, both of them. Who participated in the 40th year birthday ritual that is from the deep state, where there are young children involved? I'll leave it at this. There are very young children involved. Usually there is some blood from young children involved, and some altars and some really weird stuff. Now, I personally was in Moscow when Trump was there once, and it had to do with him going through another ritual in which he thought he was going to be appointed Pindar. Pindar, for those of you that don't know, is a position, a very high position in the Illuminati, the Order of the Dragon, in which there is a special throne and a gold chair. If you've never seen these types of rooms before, you can watch the movie Lara Croft, and I believe it's the first one where there's a scene towards the end of one of the members of the Illuminati, and Lara Croft walks into the room and says, "Didn't you know that your dad sat in this head chair?" So take a look, see if you can find it. If not, there's probably a YouTube clip that's, a minute or two long that shows the scene. So this actually happened at that time in Moscow with Trump, when he kept thinking he was going to be the Pindar. So much so, the rumor actually spread throughout the ranks of the order, and everybody started calling him Pindar. And how fitting, because you have the not yet appointed, I guess, or failed ritual person known as Elon Musk, who has tried to be the head of the Order of the Black Sun, coupled together in a tight little partnership with someone else who thinks he's the Pindar, or, well, he's definitely not anything anymore, but the Trump operatives believe they are running the position of Pindar and working closely with the rest of the order, as the Rothschild family, the Lee family. There are Russian groups. Gorbachev is part of the order as well. There are Angela Merkel. There are plenty of people that you see in the public eye that are part of the Order of the Dragon. Everywhere. So, and then the other side is the part of the Order of the Black Sun, such as George Soros and other people like the Rockefellers, and, just all of these people that as just lovely human beings. Not. On the Biden side of it, he was very closely tied in with the Lee family of China. Hunter Biden had done a lot of oil deals and gas deals. The gas deals were predominantly in the Ukraine during the first Ukrainian war. He also continued to do business in Kazakhstan, where he was brokering oil deals between Kazakhstan and China Petroleum at the time, where they were trying to take over Kazakhstan's oil reserves, and he stood to make about $250 million personally from that deal. Now, as with all presidents, they usually appoint a family member, a close person. Sometimes in the case of like Nancy Pelosi, it's her husband that did all the deals, that she clued him in on, even though it's illegal under the Stock Act of the United States to do so. But that doesn't mean that everybody doesn't do it. In the case of Biden, that was obviously Hunter. Hunter was going out and making all the deals. In the case of Trump in the last administration, it was Jared Kushner and Ivana. They made a lot of deals with Israel, a lot of deals with Saudi Arabia, and most of which never actually came to fruition. However, that doesn't mean they didn't make their cut of millions of dollars. And on both sides, they both did the same. The only difference is that Hunter's a little bit of a mess, and there is a lot of people, or are a lot of people out there that do not like Biden. And most of those people that don't like Biden are on the other side, meaning they are with the Order of the Black Sun. Now, the difference between the Order of the Dragon and the Order of the Black Sun is over recent years, there has been a lot of conflict between the Order of the Dragon and the Order of the Black Sun. The Order of the Black Sun predominantly managed the quote-unquote security of the planet for about 3,000 years. That means that they are in control of most of the militaries worldwide, intelligence agencies worldwide, and most of the operative groups worldwide. Now, even those that managed the Biden dementia situation, now, a lot of that, as you know, the role of Biden was played by other dead people. Biden had been dead for about 3 weeks into the presidency. And most of those roles were played by people like General Hyten, as one example. And then he started to lose it a little bit. And then, there were other people that they ushered in to play the role of Biden during his administration. There was many times where they talked about announcing that he had passed away if they had been successful in gaining some control over the financial system and other political systems. So the operatives that work for the Biden administration are the same group of people, albeit a little more polished, let's just say, than the Duck Dynasty operatives that are also running a dead guy in the office. So as you may or may not know, Trump passed away quite a while ago of natural causes. In this case, it started out as prostate cancer and kind of spread and got out of control, and he refused treatment. So that being said, the Trump operatives have been running this show for a few years now, including all of the rallies and the fake ear shooting and everything else. So both sides pranced around dead guys as president. So there's some similarity, another similarity there as well. Both parties went through the rituals. Both parties sold their children or actually lent their children for sexual reasons to other members of the order. Whether it's the Order of the Black Sun or the Order of the Dragon. Both presidents have been on their knees for higher ranking members of the order. Yep, they have been. And what I mean by on their knees, I don't mean they're begging for something or praying or anything like that. Of course not. Let's just say there were men standing very close in front of them. So I'll leave the rest of it to you because this is a news broadcast after all. Okay, wars. During the Biden administration, you had the Russia-Ukraine war break out. Allegedly on the Trump side, they said that they were going to solve this problem. This problem still has not been solved. Why hasn't it been solved? Well, Biden gave fake pallets of cash to Ukraine and Russia, and Trump gave Trump bucks. Even before he got back into office, and Trump reserve bank cards and all kinds of things, and nobody has paid them anything, and therefore they're just kind of continuing business as usual over there until somebody manages to do so. In one case, it was also going to be the Chinese that were going to pay, and they have not paid yet either. So, yep, they're kind of free agents right now still. To continue on, we also had the war in Israel, and it's still ongoing during this administration, and it's been a little over a month. Now, apparently, we've heard things like Trump intends to wipe out all the people of Gaza, relocate them over to Jordan and Egypt, and build the Gaza Riviera. How exciting is that? Just great people all around. Biden's walking around, fake Biden, I should say, because Biden died quite a bit early in his presidency, with dementia. The reason why he walked around with dementia is because his Chinese handlers, or the handlers of the operatives that run the Biden show, or ran the Biden show, I should say, are all in favor of the Chinese takeover of the world. In this particular case, on the Trump side, they believe that America should be the headquarters of the world, and they are fighting to bankrupt the United States right now in order to effectuate that change where they would then be the kings of North America, which is part of the Rothschild plan as well. It's just who is in charge. So the Chinese have been promised they would be in charge, and the other guys are coming in and saying it should be America. That's the only tit for tat here. But this isn't a new game. This game has been played for a long time, and it's been set up for a while. So there's your talk about Biden. Of course, we could go into some more intricate details. And for those of you that have been around for a while and you remember the very short-lived Hennessy commercial where you got to see Biden shirtless and then you can't unsee it, it's still out there deep, deep, deep in the web somewhere, so I'm sure you'll be able to find it. But it's been mostly scrubbed because they felt it was inappropriate for a then vice president. Anyway, moving on to other folks. So that's enough similarities to show you that I have talked about both sides. And I am not a Democrat. I am not a Republican. I could care less who sits in the office. And the only time I ever really paid attention is because I had to for a job, which is head and director of the Global Intelligence Agency, Ground Command Guardian, an ambassador, and a lot of other things, not only within the United States, but around the world. Okay, next, let's talk briefly about Obama. Oh, Obama. Also participated as a pedophile, also participated in rituals, has a wife who was actually a husband, and sold all the United States military equipment and bases to China so that the United States government could lease them back. That one stuck out to me. He also signed the Paris Climate Control Treaty, which had a little Santa Claus in it, as I call them, that says you have now assigned all of your in-ground resources over to the United Nations in order to fight poverty, quote unquote. He also permitted the United Nations for the first time ever to install little substations of the United Nations on BLM land due to the fact he assigned all of America's in-ground resources, even though he didn't have the power to do so, to the United Nations. That's another stellar president for you right there, isn't it? I hope he and his husband enjoy their, retirement. Anyway, moving forward to the next one. Bush Jr. and Cheney. Okay, little few secrets there. All right, so Bush Jr. obviously had lent his daughter over to Cheney at a very young age, where Cheney could proceed to, let's just say, perform sexual acts on their children, and they would exchange children regularly for such purposes. They also participated in the 40-year-old birthday ritual involving young children and lots of blood. So did Obama, by the way. They're all members. Lots of war has gone on. We had a 9/11 situation to which Bush didn't respond to 3 days later. We also know there were many calls to the White House on the day that it happened and the night before that it happened from an area called K Street. Now, for those of you that don't know, K Street is where all your operatives hang out. K Street told them it's happening, it's going to happen tomorrow, and you need to clear out, and this is what you're going to do, and this is how you're going to do it. Now, remember, everybody in the White House is an actor, and those on K Street are the script writers. So they knew ahead of time that 9/11 was going to happen. Also, most of that was orchestrated for your visual enjoyment, meaning there were planes that went places to underground utopias where people were taken hostage and used as slaves underground. The planes that allegedly crashed into the towers weren't planes at all. They were holograms. The towers did go down, and you can take a look at the buildings because they were imploded. There was a lot of black gold that moved out of buildings here and there over to Canada because of other things they needed to have happen. A lot of people died. And then the consequences of that day were around 3,000 to 4,000 people. I think it was 3,500 if I remember correctly off the top of my head. However, the caustic chemicals and smoke and things that flew around in the air caused thousands of more to have cancer. This, of course, done on 9/11 was a ritual, just like everything else that they do. And I'm sure at the time, because there was still money flowing at that time from Marduk, and I am sure they got paid a hefty sum to perform this function. Now, these buildings were already rigged to blow, and it took no time at all for the operatives to set up this entire operation, which the entire world viewed. Okay, that's another lovely president, isn't it? Just lovely. Cheney, there's also a movie called Vice. You can take a look at that, where it shows that he was actually the one running the White House and Bush Jr. just kind of sat in the front. And no surprise coming from a guy that pours whiskey on his Cheerios. That would be Bush Jr. Okay, let's talk about Bush Sr. Bush Sr. was married to Barbara, a.k.a. Bush, a.k.a. Rothschild. Barbara was almost as bad as George. I'm sure they made a lovely pair. George earned himself the position as head of the Order of the Black Sun for a time, also known as Black Dragon. That's the position that Elon Musk is going for right now. Bush Sr. also participated in the Nazi loot game, which became the Black Eagle Trust, which no longer exists. The Black Eagle Trust then was in charge of operations worldwide. The Black Eagle Trust was based on a whole, I would say a ton, but I would say it was more like thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of tons of black gold. The predominant main sources of funds worldwide, you might have seen documents floating around on the internet called the White Spiritual Boy accounts. I don't know if there's anything white or spiritual about any of those people involved. However, the main account that funded those thousands and thousands of banks worldwide, and these were off-ledger accounts, was Credit Suisse. So the main fund was actually registered to Credit Suisse, with some at UBS and a few other locations in the world. The gold was then moved to several locations, Tehran being one, Indonesia being another, and a few other places in the world. It is not gold, it's black gold. To where it could be utilized to feed the grid, so to speak, that tortured many humans on Earth. So quite a guy, really. But, as president, there's a lot of wars there, isn't there? Yeah. Of course, all paid for and funded by the Black Eagle Trust. Also, In 1992, Bush participated in the funding of the Transneft pipeline, to which he personally yielded $1 per barrel of oil that flowed through that pipeline. Personally in their family fund. However, the money to fund that came from the Black Eagle Trust. So, a lot of privileges as Black Eagle or Black Dragon, and there's no wonder that Elon Musk and his ego would love to be in that position. But I'm with the AI guys. He has 2 left feet. He doesn't know which end is up. Talk about more about that in a second. Okay, let's go back a little further, and we're not going to do this too much longer, so we'll go back to Reagan and Nancy. Everybody loved the good cowboy and the war on drugs and everything, especially since it came from 2 people that were hooked on heroin. Nancy Reagan also had her own personal black magic witches that used to frequent the White House during that administration. And on the Reagan side of things, well, you know, how much can you really do when you're hooked on heroin? If you've ever seen the movie, American Made, there's a lot about the Reagan administration hidden in there. And some of those operatives I've actually met personally that participated. However, a lot of the Trump operatives were also Reagan operatives, and they are older guys. And yep, a lot of them are from the southern states, and yeah, they're kind of Duck Dynasty-ish, at least who is left anyway. You know, they were probably lower ranking in the Reagan administration as operatives, but they thought they'd give themselves a go here and try to do something with the presidency, I guess. You know, the world was a different place at that time. Money was flowing, Marduk was in full swing. And, now that's not the case. And the only reason why the Trump administration was successful the last time is because I was there on that terminal sending money because I thought he was going to help the people and do the right thing, which that never actually happened. So if you remember correctly, we were all locked down for quite a bit of time. Also, a little bit more information here about Reagan. Reagan also cut the deal on behalf of Rothschild to have Gorbachev join the ranks and rise up the ranks of the Order of the Red Dragon, which is a part of the Illuminati. The deal was cut where he would manage $11 trillion personally and over $300 trillion professionally. He then became the hidden financier, so to speak, of the new Russian Federation and all the former USSR states. That was his region, and he was in charge for quite a long time. Since the Rothschilds' fund over there dried up, Gorbachev doesn't hold a whole lot of weight with the rest of the Russian clans who run the country, also known as the ex-KGB. Okay, other things that happened. Bush and Reagan fought quite a bit, Bush Sr. And the reason why they fought quite a bit is because they were both in the running for head of the Order of the Black Sun or Order of the Dragon. Matter of fact, it was actually Bush Sr. that ordered a CIA agent, only known as the first name Henry. I can't remember the last name off the top of my head. But Henry is actually the one that shot Reagan. And Bush Sr. is the one that ordered it to happen. Also, in return, Reagan also shot one of Bush's nearest and dearest and left the body with the head in a different position, let's just say, not attached to the body, on his front porch. And this fight ensued, like cowboys do, for the entire Reagan administration. So there's your presidential dirt. Now I have officially, no one can say I haven't talked about the last few presidents. There you go. All right. So in speaking of operatives and presidents, there has been a lot of kerfuffles going on behind the scenes because the Doji department thinks they're finding gold, and coming from a guy that has been playing with demons since he was a little child, meaning Elon Musk, I find it very interesting that he has never seen or heard of or allegedly utilized black gold before. Here they are thinking they're going to steal the world's gold supply and become the new Doji Federal Reserve Doji coin of America, I guess. I don't know. Dollar coin. I don't know. Doji. Because he was promised, if you recall, that he would actually have his cryptocurrency be the currency of North America. Now, this is also probably on the roster of things he has to do to be appointed officially Black Eagle or Black Dragon. No doubt in my mind there, actually. Just saying. The black nobility over there in Italy, Orsini family in this particular case is telling him what he needs to achieve, and he has not achieved any of it because they're all running around in circles, and quite frankly, the Orsini family doesn't know what to do either. There's a little clue in. They're ordering all you people around, and they don't know what to do. The Rothschilds are also ordering them around, and they don't know what to do. And nobody has control of anything, and everybody is running around in a circle trying to get some. As for the secret space program operatives, also known as the Trump people, the Trump operatives for the last couple of days have been testing what they thought was tungsten. They did find the molecular differences in the metals that they had stole. And, they're now getting a lesson on what black gold is. Matter of fact, a lot of these operatives did call the Federal Reserve and asked if they knew. And they explained that yes, they did know. Of course they knew. On a higher level at the Federal Reserve, they also knew that they were converting real energy into what you call money in every currency in the world, because they actually, let's just say, were a little higher ranking than those of the government. So that's a interesting sign. These tests were actually not completed until late yesterday afternoon, and that sent them in a bit of a tizzy. So God bless them. Other things that are sending them in a tizzy is now they don't know what to do with black gold. They've been told it can power a grid or two. Problem is you need a grid to actually power. So they have spent the last couple of days looking for access to said grids because their grids are pretty much all gone now. So they have been sending people to places like Wuxi Mountain and Henan Island of China to try to see if they can get a hold of a Marduk space junk site. Yeah, it definitely made me a little woozy to go there, I can tell you that, because it was pretty dark and pretty bad. So if they could fire up some of this stuff, they figured they could get access to some of Marduk's things. Excuse me, throat's getting dry. So they could get access to some of Marduk's grids. They could then place their appropriate black gold, aka tungsten, in several places in the world and fire back up a grid that they could then control. They figure if they do this and they pick the right grid, which they still have no idea what they're doing, if they could pick the right grid, then perhaps they could get a handle on the old sequestro. If they could sign that, get that fired back up, and then they could use sequestro to override the key integrated master system. Yeah, not so much so. They figure this is a great time to do it. We're 24 hours before the new moon, so they figure the moon must give them some kind of grace or something, but also that is not happening as well. They also, in the last couple of days, have tried to rewrite the GOLD agreement, the Giver of Life Declaration, and it is not, just so you know, deep state people, that is not an agreement. It is actually a covenant. I know that because I signed said covenant myself personally. I know what's in it. I know what the instructions are. By covenant, that means, let us not forget, that is actually done with source on the highest level or on a much higher level than any secret space program operatives ever have been or could ever dream of being. And being a covenant, them trying to rewrite something No one cares. Because you can't override a covenant unless both Source and I together agree to let it go. And I can tell you, even if something were to happen to me, Source isn't letting that covenant go because I've already signed for a successor. It might take a few years for those people to be, old enough to actually participate, but until then, it'll just keep running in my absence. So, anyway, there's that. They are figuring out somewhat that they don't have all the information. They go to other people like Rothschild and the Lee family in China and the Russians and ask if anybody else had any information. And it appears that nobody had any better information than they do. However, of course, they give them a line of beep, poop, and they tell them, oh, yeah, we knew all along, oh, yeah, we knew everything. And, oh, yeah, that's ours. Oh, yeah, we still control that, but they can't give them access to anything. So speaking of access, yeah, today's another one of those days ending in Y when they promised people that they would have access. I have also heard that others have been promised access no later than the new moon tomorrow, which would then bring us to a Friday date of quote unquote gaining access to a system they alleged they created. And yeah, they didn't actually create it and at all in any way, shape, or form. However, onward through the fog for them because payday, I guess, is this Friday. Access day is this Friday to all their operative friends, which nobody will actually get any access. And they'll fall flat on their face. Probably also Friday because there's a parade of planets and maybe that will give them some good luck, some curses, some spells, and some dark energy. But nah, Milky Way is getting cleaner and cleaner by the day, and aligning of planets doesn't mean the same thing for them that it used to mean in the past. So on that note, that was a lot of information in a short period of time, I know. But I thought I'd just kind of give you an overview because I know that people were asking me this question, why don't you talk about any other president the way you talk about Trump? Well, I personally interacted with some of Obama's aides. I also interacted with some other members of the staff and the executive branch, let's just say, in other locations in the world at the time. I also was traveling around the world to put gold in the quote-unquote Treasury Department at the time. I was a little bit early. So I had intended on doing the right thing, what I thought was the right thing at the time, but I've learned a whole lot since the Obama administration. But I had some personal involvement with the Trump administration for a few years. So there's a lot more I have to say there personally. As far as Reagan and Nancy, all that information comes from a member or an operative of their staff. Personally, from their lips to my ears. So I know those things to be true, actually, from the person that told me. As far as the Biden administration, I had no interaction there. None. I obviously was always watching governments, what the operatives were doing, promises that were being made. And, we've been hanging out together for a while now. So for the last few years, you've heard me talk a lot about the Biden administration. It's just that we were not going to fund governments anymore at that point. So there was really nothing to say there. And of course, they were scraping the bottom of everybody's barrel, Chinese and otherwise, and borrowing money from the Kuwaitis and borrowing money from the Bahrainis and, Qataris, for sure. For those of you that don't know, Qatar would be called Clintonville. If you were to call it the name of what it actually is politically speaking. Therefore, they would err more on the side of Biden. And they also are upset that they donated a lot of money. Decided to flip sides, I guess, from Hillary's side as a Rothschild to Bill's side as a Black Sun guy, and go a few rounds with the Trump administration as I hear it. and they're out millions of dollars, and the country is breaking. Matter of fact, they've broken pretty much every country. So kudos to them. Great job. But you're not going to be able to pick up the pieces, are you? And the bill is going to come due, and it's already been due. There are countries that are saying they're not going to be able to pay pensions. They're laying off government workers. This is going on all around the world. In the UK, I've been hearing that. They've been delaying retirements. I know that there are a lot of countries, especially in the Middle East, that are not going to be able to make payroll and that type of thing too. So, yeah, it's getting really tight. And I don't know if Dodgy is going to be able to siphon enough money out of economies worldwide in order to pay for the government to keep running here either. So, on that note, hopefully we'll have some more details on all the goings on Friday for you. Of course we will. There's always something going on these days, isn't there? And I will see you on Friday's Global Intelligence Agency report.